each Friday at 9 a.m. for early learning right here on The Source. This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in Anne Arundel, Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt. Galen Unall just in the building for hour 1. Now to kick off hour 2, Roseanne Frick. She's the CEO of Early Learning Coalition of Marion County. She's joined by Elizabeth Diola, who is the Chief Programs Operator. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, it's Programs Officer, not you know. Look, I played college football.
Details.
Shots to the head. You know. So I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. So we had you in last week. We're doing these Fridays on Fridays now, and we need to talk today about something that I am very confused about.
Okay.
It's one of the things that I'm glad I don't have children, because one, if you have children, because it's a two family household where they both have to work, or in a single family household where the mom or a single dad, if that's the issue, they have to work. Somebody needs to take care of Junior and their daughters or something, and it's a daycare. And you see daycares. You can drive around Marion County and you can see daycares everywhere.
We don't use that word.
Well, but
I'm going to help you with that.
Right.
We're going to help you with that.
But you see them everywhere. You see, and they're early learning centers.
Yes.
I understand.
Childcare.
But you see them everywhere.
Yes.
How does one know which one is better than the other? Are they all the same? Does one give you a better education in one area where one gives you a better education opportunity in another area? I mean, how do you sort through all that?
It's a process.
Lean in close to your microphone.
It's definitely a process, and of course, one of the first things is to ensure that the needs of the parent are met. So we call them child care centers or early learning centers because our providers or professionals in that arena do not take care of days, they take care of children. So we try to encourage people to refer to them as child care or early learning, and there are approximately 200 in Marion County.
Wait, hold on.
That's why you see them everywhere.
Did you just say 200?
200.
Yep.
We ain't got 200 churches in Marion County. And Marion County got a church on every corner.
Just about.
But it, literally, between my ride from my house, where I live out 326 and 25th, the route I take, I pass, let me think about it now, that I can remember, 7 child care centers.
Yes, because we have a huge need. We got a lot of kids.
We do have a lot of kids.
do.
And are these, when you talk about the child care centers, do they only adhere to the early child, or are these same child care centers where kids go, if they're not in an after-school program or something, that they get taken to so their parents can then pick them up from that when they get off work?
So a majority of our child care providers care for children birth to 13 years old. So it does cover that aftercare need for kids. Like I have a 7-year-old. He goes to aftercare. And in the summertime, he goes to a child care facility that has a program for school agers. So we have the span of care available for a family.
What is, if I'm a parent, what is some of the criteria you would suggest to me to start doing my homework on finding a good child care facility?
There's so much information out there on that. You can find information on our website, which is www.elc-marion.org. Also childcare.gov, and myfloridafamilies.com has all sorts of information. Those are places you can start, but really and truly you have to find what works for your family. So every family is going to be different for what they need, from the hours of operation that they need to how many children do they need in care. If you have 2 or 3 kids, do you want to drive to 2 or 3 different places to drop them off in the morning if there isn't care available at one spot? So there are a lot of different interview questions, if you will, that we encourage parents to ask. And the first thing starts with a phone call. After you do your research online, we have checklists available in our office that help just guide a parent through. This family guide, I know that sometimes we're on your YouTube channel, so I want to show you this family guide that's available in our office. Walks a family through exactly what steps to take. So it is a process.
I like the first one, a message for families. First one, be a smart shopper.
Yes.
Because you're literally shopping for your kid's future.
Absolutely.
Because in this day and age, that's what people sometimes forget. In this day and age, where you have both parents out of the home working or a single parent working out of the home, teachers in public school, in the public school and private school system, and people in child care facilities are really the pseudo parents most of the day, most of the time that the child's awake, because the parents are out making money to try to provide for the child.
That's right.
So people forget that once you do a school day that's 8.5 hours, then you go to child care for another 3.5 hours, that's 12 hours.
Yeah.
The kid sleeps 7 or 8 hours. Their interaction with mom and dad, except on the weekends, may only be 4 or 5 hours in a day.
Exactly.
And a lot of that is routines, from dinner to homework to that special, just spending time together, having your 15 minutes of reading in the evening time. It's so much of it is a routine. And so this is very important, because we know that the foundation for learning success starts at zero.
Now, child care facilities, do they cater to, do they all do the same thing, or are there some that are geared and catered towards one situation, some that are catered and geared towards another situation? Like, is one geared towards, by the time your child's 4, they're going to be able to know they're going to start reading effectively, where this one, by the time your child's 4, they're going to have social skills where they can deal with kids better and not throw tantrums? I mean, is that kind of breakdown in this system?
Absolutely, and that's part of the questioning that should be asked, is about curriculum. Curriculum is something that every child care provider should be offering, and a parent, sometimes they don't even know what that means. And the curriculum is the schedule and the activity that goes into the day for the child. So if a parent is interested in a second language, let's say, they're going to want to look for a provider that offers a second language. If the parent has a different need and they know their child needs to focus on math or different academic skills that are developmentally appropriate, then they're going to want to talk to their provider about what curriculum is used, and how do your teachers know, what training have the teachers had, how long have you been in business. Those are really important things to ask a provider. So every system is going to be different. Every provider is going to be a little bit different.
And one of the things that we stress to parents, the importance of shopping around, is all of us need stability in our life. And so you don't want to, if at all possible, put a child in a situation for 3, 4, 6 months and then move the child to a different situation.
No, because that's traumatic.
Yeah, it really is. So
Right.
take the time to look around, because we do have options.
Especially a young child, because that bonding thing is a very important thing. I mean, I have some friendships from when I was 6 and 7 years old.
That's right.
That one of my best friends, he lives in Texas now. He'll be here in Panama City in July, because we're all meeting. A bunch of us are meeting from college and everything for my 55th birthday.
Oh.
And he's coming in from Texas. His wife's like, we can't. He goes, it doesn't matter. It's Tom's 55th birthday. We've been friends since we were 6 years old.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
But it's a relationship that if I'd have been moved from school to school at the time, who knows how long we'd have stayed friends.
Right.
And that's a perfect basis for the social emotional skills that are developed in preschool. And when Roseanne's talking about that stability, that's so important, because we talked about it last week with developmental screening. If we don't know that a child can sit still or just interact with their peers without violence, then we're going to have some problems. And preschool helps develop those skills from start, and those lifelong friendships.
Right.
And relationships are everything.
All of it goes into parents being aware and educating our parents on what to look for. And it starts with the type of providers. There's 3 different types of providers. You have family child care providers that have the child care in their home. So they may be allowed legally to take care of children only up to maximum of 12 children. So is a small setting important to a parent? But being in a family child care provider, maybe they only provide services for the kids till they go to elementary school. And you have faith-based, if that's important to a parent, and then you have private centers. So that's the first thing for a parent to determine: what type of setting do they want their child to be in that will meet their needs on a long-term basis to assist with that stability.
I know that when I was a kid, we went to Mama Avery's. That's where we went. Mama Avery ran a nursery, and it was called a nursery then.
Yeah.
And we went to Mama Avery's, and there was probably 20 kids there. And, you know, she had the basement in her, it wasn't a basement, it looked like a basement, but it was Florida, but it had the downstairs, it was a 3-story house in Springfield, in Jacksonville, Springfield neighborhood. And we didn't realize that we were, you know, everybody went to Mama Avery's till the police showed up one day. Because Mama Avery wasn't supposed to be having child care and 20 people in her house and everything. That is a problem, though, inside the system. It's kind of like a gypsy taxi. There are some gypsy care facilities where people, that's why you should check stuff out and do your due diligence, because you may have somebody that's doing something out of their home they shouldn't be allowed to do out of their home. Mm-hmm. And that happens a lot, I find.
I hope that it's happening less and less with the regulations, because there are a lot of regulations out there, and there are a lot of people involved now that weren't involved back then that are helping regulate that. So licensing is very important. It is important to see where the child care center lands in performance and health and safety standards, because there are basic needs that have to be met and requirements that have to be met by professionals.
So that's one of the things you should look at first, too, is, hey, can I see your licensing? Mm-hmm. Because if a home care facility, faith-based facility, or private facility, they should all have licensing that they can show you on request. Sure.
Yep, and you can
That's
find
a key.
it. Yeah, you can find it. It's public knowledge. It's out there on myfloridafamilies.com. It's DCF is our regulating body here, and you can see every report for every child care provider. So you can see even who the staff are that are employed there in some instances, and you can see just how they did and where they are lacking. And some things are going to be more important to families than other things. You know, if I see that a provider has a write-up for not having a sheet of paper in a staff member's file that says the training that they had, let's say, or do they have a write-up for bugs in the kitchen? Those are going to be very different as a parent looking at them.
Yeah, I'm against the bugs in the kitchen.
Well, everybody is, even the providers. Nobody's trying to have that. You know,
I'm just saying, if it come to they're missing one sheet of paper in their file or bugs in the kitchen, I'm going with the place that's missing one piece of paper in the file.
But as a parent, if you are informed and you're educated on what some of these requirements are, then you can make a better choice, and you can say, this is important to me or this isn't.
How important? How important, because you say, you know, are you focusing on math? Do you focus on, you know, the alphabet and teaching to write or something? But isn't really the most important thing for almost every parent affordability?
It's a balance, for sure.
Because we're not talking about pennies on the dollar here.
No.
This is child care. There's a cost associated.
Absolutely.
And I hope parents don't do this, but I would think a lot of times how much it costs is probably the number one factor above whether they do a good job teaching math or whether they do a good job, you know, teaching motor skills stuff. I would think what my paycheck allows me to afford is what I do.
Right. And parents certainly do have to consider that, just like we consider it when we look at items that we purchase. But one of the options that's out there is to see if they're eligible to receive financial assistance through the Early Learning Coalition, because that's one of the things that we can do for eligible families, which includes a lot of people who are working, is we can assist with paying part of that child care so it makes it more affordable for a parent. Parent will always have to pay for child care.
What is it, and I don't know if you know this or not, but what is the weekly average for child care in Marion County?
It depends on the age of the child. It costs more to take care of a baby because we have that ratio
they're
of 1 to
intensive,
4.
right.
Exactly, compared to a 7-year-old.
Right.
Who is only going to need part-time care.
And then probably a 12-year-old less than a 7-year-old.
You have school agers.
Right.
The school agers are usually grouped together as far as cost is concerned. So the first 5 years of a child's life is going to be the most expensive for paying for child care.
And it's also going to depend on what programs the parent or the family is eligible for. So if they apply for our school readiness program, and they can go to our website, elc-marion.org, they can apply there, and we can help them with those costs if they qualify. And we have funding available to help. So we can help subsidize some of that cost. And it's going to vary. As a private paying parent for an infant, you might pay $155 a week is about what it's costing right now for an infant. Now, as you go up, like Roseanne
It's
said,
like $650 a month.
yeah.
That's a car pay. That's more than a car payment. That's
Some people's rent.
that's some people's rent. Some people's mortgage payments. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is with childcare, and I want to encourage parents not to look at, it's not with childcare, it's not necessarily you get what you pay for. It's a lot of our providers are working with families to try to meet the family's needs and provide high quality services for the children. So a lot of times providers will make sacrifices to ensure that a family can afford to bring their child there because of the importance of early learning.
we're talking with Roseanne Fricks and Elizabeth Diola. Roseanne is the CEO of Early Learning Coalition of Marion County. Elizabeth is the Chief Programs Officer for Early Learning Coalition of Marion County. So when you say that people can reach out to you and see if they qualify for monies to help with this facility, is that for birth through 5, through school age, or both? Is anybody, if they meet the criteria, they're eligible?
If they meet the criteria, we serve children birth through age 13. So we do help with that aftercare too, as long as the family's eligible. And you have to be working or going to school at least 20 hours a week, which a lot of our families are. And some families who thought they previously wouldn't qualify now may qualify. So we encourage, go ahead and try. It can't hurt to try. We'd love to help.
The worst you can say is, unfortunately, at this time, we can't help you.
Right.
That's the worst thing you could say.
Right. And it's all done online.
Right.
So a parent can work their schedule to apply online, and they'll receive pretty much an immediate response. It looks like you're eligible. Give us additional information, or you know what, not now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely worth the 10, 15 minutes it takes to do that initial screening to see if they are eligible. And for us to pay a provider, let me throw one more piece of information in there. For us to pay a provider for child care services, that provider has to meet certain guidelines and contract with us. It's not any provider in Marion County.
So I can't come in and say, hey, I know this great place. I just can't quite make ends meet. I check all the boxes for the criteria. I need money to go to that place. If they're not registered as a partner with you guys and all, that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Right.
Which ensures and provides peace of mind, hopefully, for the parents that a curriculum is in place, that age-appropriate brain development skills are being a part of their daily activities.
So with that being said then, out of the roughly 200 facilities here in Marion County, how many of them partner with y'all?
We have, right now, we have 106 that are actually contracted
So more
through
than
the
half.
school readiness program. Yeah.
More than half.
And 150 that contract with us for the VPK program.
So,
So-
3/4.
Right. 3/4 of the providers in this county are connected with us. And we do, that's where I went back to say it's not necessarily about getting what you pay for with the money. Because they are held to a high standard, these providers, and they have to use a curriculum that is approved by the state of Florida. They are observed through a class observation assessment, and they have to meet a specific score before we can say, yes, we're willing to place our families with you.
That's a lot different in 2021 than it was in 1971 when we would be taken to the aftercare program and they'd be like, lay down, take a nap.
It is. We
Lay
don't
down, take a
encourage.
nap.
Yes, we encourage
We'd wake up
high
from the nap.
activity.
Okay, you've
Yes.
been awake for 15 minutes. Lay down, take a nap. I see you over there with your head up. Lay down. I mean, it's like you really went to aftercare so that you could take a nap for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, it's all different now.
It's no longer the latchkey world.
Although I will tell you that I have vivid memories of aftercare because I was in Catholic school and then my mom worked, my dad worked, so I have vivid memories of it. And one of my most vivid memories is Easy Reader from the electric company because we'd watch the electric company every day at 4:00, and he old cold. Oh, you know who that was that played Easy Reader?
I don't remember.
Morgan Freeman.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And the lady that yelled, "Hey, you guys," at the beginning of electric company, Rita Moreno.
Oh, I didn't know that.
two movie stars.
Yep.
They were on that kids show. But that back then there was no we need to come in here and practice our ABCs and we need to come in here and do the color wheel and learn about colors and all. This was Either take a nap or sit in front of that television.
But even back then, that was a great example of starting the movement of how important early learning is. Just by using those actors who were starting to get into their career, that was the beginning of it.
It was.
And look how
most
far
definitely
we've
was.
come.
Yes.
A long way in child care facilities.
Yes.
Well, and so
Because
much
they're taking what is it?
research.
Because they're taking care of children, not days.
Correct.
That's right.
No
That's
daycare.
Yay! We'll bring you a gold star next week. Thank you.
You know, that's something I never got in school was a gold star.
Aww.
There, now you got
I was
your
a
gold star.
bad kid.
There's no such thing as bad kids.
Oh, I was terrible.
You just are challenging.
I broke my pregnant third grade teacher's finger and wrist because she aggravated me. I was a bad child.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I hit a nun with a ruler because she'd hit me enough, so I decided to hit her back.
See,
I was a bad child.
Your child care provider just needed some more training in social and
I
emotional
got thrown out of
development
two. I
to
got thrown
help
out of
you.
two different child care facilities because I would take a bite out of not crime kids.
Oh my goodness.
I see here. I thought you were going to say you ate a crayon.
No.
You took a bite out of a crayon.
I did eat. I did eat a 5011 taillight bulb though when I was 3 years old. My dad owned the service station. I just went over there crunching on a taillight bulb. You know.
Oh.
Kids, hey, you leave a kid unentertained, we'll figure out a way to entertain ourselves.
One
and
way or another,
It
huh?
usually is to the detriment and the psyche of the parent
There you go.
And everybody around.
and everybody around. So if somebody's listening to this program and they want to find out how they can start doing the basic research of child care facilities and get you to assist them with it, where can they go?
I would encourage them to call us at 352-369-2315 and hit extension 200 for our Child Care Resource and Referral Program. That program, CCR&R, one of our staff that is certified will help connect a family with different provider resources to help them start doing that research. They can give them a listing of child care providers that meets their individual family needs and start the process there.
Right, because there's certain questions that they will ask them. Not all of us work during the day, so maybe a parent needs childcare at night.
I hadn't thought about second shift and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So there are different needs. So
And there
our
are night
staff
there are
are
night
trained.
child care facilities.
Yes.
A lot of our
Yes.
family child care homes operate 24/7
Huh?
for our hospital district and those EMTs, law
enforcement.
enforcement.
Yeah,
Yep.
first
I hadn't even
responders.
thought about that.
I tell you what, this pandemic has humbled the world to how important child care is.
Well,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, when your children who usually 180 days a year, you know, for that finite amount of time during the school day where they are, but now there is no school day and they're home. I bet it was I bet 2020 will be a year that a lot of parents will remember for a very long time.
Yes.
Sure. Parents do, if you're a parent and you're working at Closet Maid all day long and you're trying to help your child when they get home with reading and other skills, your child care facilities are especially trained for that. Right. They are there to support the family and to help teach even parents, to help train the parents on how to work with their children and extend that learning into the home. So it plays such more a part than just keeping them while the parents are working.
To take a nap, not to
No taking naps.
No taking naps.
The little ones get naps.
Child care facilities are no longer just babysitting areas.
No, we do not sit on babies either.
Right.
We
'Cause I remember
really,
they were
really
thought- they were-
discourage sitting on any babies.
I remember vividly that people would decide on child care facilities based on how cool the playground was.
Yeah.
That's a little weird to me. They got a good playground, yeah, but are they taking care of your children?
Do they
It's great
use
they got
that
a
good playground? Yes. Or is it just there for video?
Have you ever seen anybody actually on that playground?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are great questions,
Yes,
too.
they are.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a myriad of questions that you could just keep coming up with.
We do. That's
At
why
every
we have
turn.
these resources, though, because parents, and especially parents that go in between having babies, they might have a 15-year-old and then they have their new baby that's coming along or their grandbaby that they were gifted. And it's just, they need help remembering these questions.
It's a whole different world.
It
It
is.
is a lot to consider.
A lot to consider.
We're here for that.
Thanks so much for coming in. I don't know yet whether we'll be back next Friday, but I know we'll be back the Friday after that.
Okay.
I know and we'll let you know. Joe will let you know, or somebody will let you know in the coming days. So, Roseanne Fricks, Elizabeth Diola, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
This is WOCA, The Source.